Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy pre-new moon in Aquarius, which is tomorrow. Wow, the energy is very, very strong. It is very Saturnian, and we're actually going to talk about the new moon in Aquarius tonight at 6 p.m. We're going to talk about why it is a very Saturn new moon. It definitely feels heavy, but it also feels very, very powerful, I think. So quite a few things going on this week. No, come here. So we adopted my grandma's cat. I think I told you guys already, but she had never really seen like a TV screen. So every time I have my computer open, she wants to attack it. So her name is Salem. She's really cute. Okay, so Mercury is going direct this week. So this is like peak Mercury retrograde. The beginning and the end is always the most intense because we have Mercury at a standstill in the sky. So it's gaining power, as my teacher Rick Levine would say. He probably still says that too. We also have the goddess asteroid Juno, which is Hera, which she is the goddess of marriage and women and fertility and pregnancy. Oh my gosh. Moving into Aquarius. So we've had all of these asteroids moving into Aquarius one by one. And yes, so we also have Saint Brigid or Bridget, I think they call her, but Brigid, her holiday is coming up. So we're halfway to the spring equinox. We're halfway there. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is the time of the year I start getting kind of restless, you know? I'm sure you guys do too. All right. So today we have the sun actually squaring Uranus. So let's bring up the chart. I'm not going to go super, super deep into the new moon because we're doing that tonight on the live stream. It's only $5 to join my Patreon. If you're like completely broke, I mean, it's only $5, but if you're completely broke and you still want to join, just message me on Instagram, Dreamweaver Astrology, and I'll go ahead and give you the link. Trust me, I know how it is. I got Neptune in my second house. So, okay, so today we have the sun square Uranus. So the sun is in Aquarius. As you can see, it's very close to Saturn in Aquarius, and it is squaring Uranus down here. So 10 degrees of Aquarius, 10 degrees of Taurus. So why do they square? They're squaring because they're both fixed signs. It is close to a 90-degree angle. So that's what that means when there's a square. Now, how much give each astrologer gives to that, it really depends. I actually kind of go based off of what I feel. Of course, when I'm looking at a client's chart, I always look at what the closest aspects are first. But there definitely is a formula and every astrologer does it differently. But anyway, it's going to be exact today. So sun squaring Uranus. So this is conflict, usually. It's usually conflict. It is two very different energies basically breaking each other. They're stopping each other's flow. And we have to do some kind of work to make those two energies work together. Now, the thing here, even though Taurus is very, very different than Aquarius, they're both fixed signs. Uranus, of course, does co-rule Aquarius. So I don't see this as a bad thing at all. I see it as the conflict maybe being in, you know, Aquarius is very stable generally. They can definitely be that wild card that creates uncomfortable, shocking, abrupt changes and disrupts the flow. They can be that. In my experience, the men more than women for whatever reason. And Uranus, where was I going with this? So Uranus is that unexpected changes, but Aquarius in general is pretty stable. I have to turn this light down because I'm getting paler and paler by the day. I don't know if you guys can even see my face right now. So Aquarius is pretty stable. Having this square to Uranus, it's like, the way it feels to me, it's like we want to make these changes and we want to disrupt the flow of things maybe that are just stagnant or not working anymore. And we want to get things moving again. It feels a little bit stuck though. It feels like we can't do those things or we don't want to do those things. We don't want to make those changes. It just feels uncomfortable. However, when we get to tomorrow and the new moon, we're definitely going to have to make some changes. And we might as well roll with it because this is a very powerful new moon. I believe last year we had 2 full moons in Aquarius. That was definitely wild. It felt so electric and like alien and like technological. It was so interesting. So let's move. As you can see, the moon is getting really close to the sun. For new moons, they're going to be in the same sign. And this is occurring at 12 degrees and 19 minutes of Aquarius. Okay, so we're a little bit past, but you get the gist here. So the sun and the moon are in Aquarius. There's a lot of interesting aspects. Obviously, as you look at this, the sun and the moon are very, very close to Saturn. So that already is giving it a very Saturn feel, and Saturn co-rules Aquarius. So this is like very, very powerful. Definitely making big changes. I'm just seeing this as like a continuation of that revealing of the truth, but it's something deeper too. It is internal. We're planting these new seeds of like, okay, we can't keep doing things the way we've been doing them. We got to do something new. It's not going to be Pluto where it's like we're going to rebirth ourselves and be a totally different person. It's just doing things in a different way and using our minds, air sign, and being inventive with how we approach the problems or the situation at hand. Like being stagnant right now, it's just not going to work with Aquarius energy and with this new moon. We just can't do that. And if we try to do that and we try to stay stuck, I think we're going to be in for a surprise this new moon for sure. So the sun and the moon, of course, will be squaring Uranus since the sun is squaring Uranus today. We also have Pluto trining the North Node. So we're really like carving a new path for ourselves on our paths to destiny, whatever that is for you. We're really like trailblazing in a way into our own life and our own timeline. So again, I see this as like shaking things up, doing things in a different way, inventing a new way of approaching a problem or just of being and what we're focused on and how we're feeling. It's just time to like leave certain things behind and just like start new, be inventive, be scientific, be logical about it, be stable about it for sure. And I think doing these changes in a stable way is definitely supported. Like I said, it can be a bit of a wild card with Uranus energy, but this is Aquarius too. Aquarius is pretty stable generally. Okay, what else? So we also have Venus conjunct Vesta. I don't have Vesta pulled up here right now, but Venus is exactly conjunct the asteroid Vesta, who is the goddess of the sacred flame. So reigniting our passion also. What are we dedicated to? What is our passion? What is our calling? What is our sacred purpose? So that's going to be important too, and seeing how our close one-to-one partnerships fit into that and how everything is going to fit together. That's how I see that. So Venus also just went direct. So on Tuesday, the next day, it's also the Lunar New Year on the 1st, this day. So it's the year of the tiger. Okay. So on Tuesday, I should have pulled Juno up here. I'm sorry. So Juno is going to move into Aquarius. So I have my Asteroid Goddesses book by Demetra George and Douglas Block. This is the best asteroid book, in my opinion. Okay, so let's read a little bit about Juno. Juno is not, any goddess asteroid is not as simple as it seems. So Juno is pretty much Hera. Okay, so that's the wife of Zeus. And as you know, there's some very interesting mythologies with Hera and with Juno. So in general, she is the goddess of marriage. She is the goddess of women, of pregnancy. She's also like a bit of a fertility goddess. So she's also known as the Queen of the Heavens and the Triple Moon Goddess. Her glyph is actually the scepter for royalty. So some of her symbols are crowns, veils, scepters, peacocks, or cuckoos. Pomegranates, which kind of means like an underworld symbolism too, the pomegranate, cow, holy heifer. So not always, but usually when a goddess has a cow as part of her symbolism, she has a fertility function. The Morrigan's sister, Maca, she is associated with cows and horses. So that kind of shows how sovereignty, which the Morrigan is a Irish Celtic sovereignty goddess, Maca is kind of like the fertility function of sovereignty. So Juno / Hera's symbol is also the rainbow, and they have winds and atmosphere here. So the associated rulerships are Libra and Scorpio. Polarities, intimacy versus manipulation. So Juno is really interesting. In mythology, Hera as the wife of Zeus, there's some not so pleasant mythologies because Zeus was not iconically, but he was definitely known for not being loyal to Hera, being loyal in his marriage. In other words, he was cheating on her all the time and had all these children with all these different deities and mortals, immortals. And a lot of the time what happened in the mythology is that Hera became very bitter, for good reason, and very as they put it, jealous. And a lot of the time, she would actually punish the women instead of like punishing Zeus. I mean, we have to kind of think about, you know, the Greek and the Roman times too, when these mythologies were written. And it's like, it does reflect the way that women were kind of victim blamed a lot, you know, pretty much all the time, you know, during those times, and still in a lot of ways too. So Juno is an asteroid. She rules over like all of that, like victim blaming and marriage and fertility and like a bit of sovereignty too, because it ended up not being this way once the patriarchy kind of took over. But sovereignty, like your right to rule as a king or a queen, like you had to earn that. At least in like ancient Ireland, you had to earn your right to be king. You weren't just given it for no reason. Like the druids and the priests would come together and like choose someone to be the king. And you had to prove that you were worthy to be king. And you had to continue to prove that, because being king in ancient Ireland, it was a direct, basically, relationship with the other world, the other side. So if something happened to the land, such as a famine, or, you know, the cows were dying or whatever, that was seen as the king, the ruler, not having this balanced relationship with the other world, with the spirits that allowed him to be king. So I think all of that is kind of related too, because you weren't just given that, you know, it wasn't just something that was handed to you, and it wasn't something that you just continued to have just because, like, it was something that you to continuously prove yourself for worthy of that kingship. And if not, you know, you might get killed. So, okay, so Juno is also an indicator of women's cycles and functions. She's also a symbol of commitment and enhancement, kind of like in a Libran fashion way. Libras are supposed to be super into fashion. I like it, but I just don't think I care about it that much. And the other Libras I know are actually very similar. So, but you know, in general, it is ruled by, Libra is ruled by Venus, so supposed to be into like the fashion thing. So Juno rules also that. Juno is also, she rules over the use of sexual energy within a marriage commitment, strictly. So she also rules like sex magic, things like that, and sex as rejuvenation, but only in a committed partnership. And she also represents marriage as an alchemical union. Okay, so what else here? She can also represent like soulmates and like your number one like soulmate partner, but she also represents like that difficult stuff too, like we were talking about, not just victim blaming, but betrayal and lies and manipulation and really difficult themes like that within relationships. And of course, pregnancy, like the movie. Okay, so she's moving into Aquarius, meeting up with the other asteroids. So this is important also for this new moon, Juno switching signs. So I think with the new moon, though, there will be a lot of like women's issues and things like that coming up as well. So Mercury is going to go direct. So as you can see, Mercury is still in retrograde here. So let's move forward day by day. As you can see here, Mercury, very close to Pluto again, is stationary, so completely still in the sky. It becomes a focal point. So all those like technology issues and like communication problems and text message, emailing issues, all of that stuff, it's going to definitely reach a peak. It's going to get really intense, and then it will slowly kind of fade away within a week, I would say, sometimes 2 weeks. It really depends. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We'll have Mars and Capricorn square Chiron next Sunday, but we'll talk about that then. So yeah, we are halfway to the spring equinox. We are moving through winter in the northern hemisphere here. You know, or that's the opposite. So this is really interesting. We have this like life death kind of thing going on. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Let me stop sharing here. Was there something else that I wanted to say? Definitely get this book if you don't have it already. You want to learn about the main goddess asteroids. There's so much good stuff here. Women's issues is definitely important right now. How we treat women in general, how we stand up for them, how we maybe have like internalized misogyny, things like that. Like that's some stuff to think about for sure. Even like towards yourself too, because you might not realize that you do those things to yourself. but Juno and Hera can kind of bring those things to light so that you can look at yourself not as society looks at you or wants you to look at yourself, which I feel that in the society that we have in capitalism, it basically trains us as women to like hate ourselves so that they can sell us more things to like fill that hole, which is so toxic and so messed up. That's actually something I've been thinking about a lot. So I think that's all going to become very important. And Juno being an Aquarius, that's like, how do we become whole again? How do we become a community, like a whole group of spiritually aware women that are trying to better themselves and be inclusive instead of like whatever society taught us to be? Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I will see you in about 3 hours for the live stream for the new moon. I am pretty excited. It feels very Saturn, very, very Saturn, which is a little bit rough, but it's okay. We're going to be okay. Aquarius is very hopeful. It's definitely the star card, in my opinion. Okay, all right. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see some of you tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time.